lake that I've ever even been around.
Yeah, I love, well, just the lakes in general. I mean, I would take my boat out and anchor out and just enjoy the day, but they've got several different restaurants there along the water and whatever, and it's beautiful along the lakes.
But you know as well as I do, if they was to ever open that piece of property up for the public, the average Joe of being able to afford something to go in there and make a bid on something like that, he would automatically be outpriced out of his range, because some of those lots that has those big views pertaining to the river would probably sell just a bare lot. A 4 or 5 acre lot would probably sell for $250,000.
Oh, or more. I mean, there's some pretty extravagant properties along that way anyway. So, but yeah, there's a tremendous amount of money, some very nice properties.
Have you ever been to the Point on LBL?
No, I think I've passed it on my boat because some people have told me about that before, but I don't know, like I couldn't point it out to you or anybody else. But
once you go to the Point, you can look downriver, which I consider downriver to the south, going back to the Tennessee side. And it's basically right there where the Tennessee and the Kentucky both meet, right there on the line.
Oh, okay, then yeah, I have, because there's a bridge there.
No, not where I'm talking about. There's no bridge. Where I'm talking about is a big high cliff. And it would be on the east side of the Tennessee River, the side that the sun comes up on. And you can literally look to the south on the Tennessee side and look down probably 2 miles, and you can look to the north, and you can look up towards Kentucky probably 2 miles. It's a big open view right there, and that's basically where Tennessee and Kentucky all merge right there together. Now, at one time, TVA, after they had come in there and tried to redevelop that area, had a big park right up in that area. Matter of fact, you can go up there today and still find signs, all kinds of signs of concrete picnic benches, concrete shower houses. Each independent campsite had either a 20 or a 30 amp box, and the boxes are still sitting there, and it basically turned into a flop. And I think that was one of the reasons why Kennedy flew over it in 1963 and decided that it was a total catastrophe, and that's whenever they decided to turn it into a federal refuge. Now, do you know anything about the federal government towards being able to do stuff like that, towards either being at a highway or a post office or a federal refuge?
I don't know anything about it.
There's a certain law that they can go under, eminent domain, that they can basically root you out no matter who you are or where you live.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. I mean, you see stuff like that on TV now with the Indians.
Well, not only the Indians, but all that property down south where it connects with the Rio Grande, they're having to take the law of eminent domain to be able to build that wall down there. Because there's so many of those farmers down there, they don't want a great old big 30-foot wall, even though it's probably for their own benefit and for their own protection. But it's going to take up some of their farming community, and because of it, they've reared up about it.
Oh,
but the government can basically do whatever the government wants to do if they want to do it bad enough. And that's basically what happened with the TVA in the 1930s, or actually it began in the 20s, because if you follow the Tennessee River, it actually has 17 locks that begins way up in like New Tazewell, Tennessee, way up in eastern Tennessee. And that waterfront goes all the way down through Chattanooga and goes all the way down through Alabama, parts through Muscle Shoals, and then it goes.
I've never been to Muscle Shoals.
Then it goes through a Big Bend, and once it goes to the Big Bend, it's one of the 2 only rivers that flow north from Muscle Shoals back to Kentucky that flows off into the mouth of the Ohio over here. And that's the reason why they call this area the 4 Rivers, is because you got the Cumberland River, the Ohio River, the Tennessee River, and the Mississippi River, and they all merge right here together.
Yeah, Paducah.
Yeah, Paducah. Good old Paducah. But you probably remember me. It was in 2000. 2008. Was you still living in the Paducah, Kentucky area in 2008? They wound.
I lived there from pretty much 2004 until I moved in June, so I lived there 15 years.
Did you?
Well, I went to school at the neighboring county in Ballard, and then I moved away I moved to St. Simon's Island for a while, and then I moved back. But yeah.
But you probably remember me up there in that area in 2000.
I was young and dumb and crazy then. I probably don't remember much anything.
You don't think you've seen it on the TV,
No.
on WPSD News?
You know what? I have never watched TV either. People think I'm crazy, but I don't watch TV. I own a TV, but it's like a wall ornament. But I raised my daughters without TV.
That's cool. You're not being influenced by the outside influences.
And so I just,
in other words, you pick and choose towards what type of information that you want to consume, of whether or not it's good information or bad information, which is very, very wise upon your part, because there's a lot of that stuff that we're fed that's inaccurate.
Well,
kind of like Columbus discovering America. Columbus didn't been more to discover America than the man on the moon. America done already been discovered.
A lot of time growing up consumed in the TV, and so I just wanted to raise my daughters where
can be a hindrance.
They were very active, and we just were always into doing other things besides.
Well, I can tell you're a smart lady because you have ventured out and you've done all these other things, because most common people don't do that.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of strong will. You've got a strong drive to be able to do that. But anyways, in in 2008, they shut down the Kentucky Dam because they thought that somebody had planted a bomb on that dam.
I bet. I mean, I have a lot of friends that work on the river. I'm sure somebody would remember that other than me. But
well, guess who the candidate that was being accused of that was?
Is that you?
That was me.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That
was me. I was being taunted by the Kentucky FBI, working through the Kentucky authorities through the TVA, Tennessee Valley Association, along with the Land Between the Lakes division over there.
I have a couple of friends that have worked for Ingram for 18, 20 years.
Because I had spent too much time in that area, and I made some people nervous. But what flipped the switch towards them thinking or trying to promote me as me being a potential homegrown terrorist was I was led of God, because I do you can't tell it now because of my size, because I've been poisoned. That's made me swell up like this. But I used to stay out in the woods a lot and do a lot of fasting and praying. A lot. And I was up in that area.
So hold on, backtrack. That's like a lot of information at once. So you've been poisoned. So what is that about?
That's about the United States government pertaining to the state of Kentucky that took me to LaGrange, Kentucky, and put me on.
That's where I lived there.
And put me on Risperdal, which is a known drug that causes breast enhancement and obesity, and that was ordered by Judge Woodall in Trigg County, Kentucky.
I taught in Oldham County for 1 year. One school year. That's where I stayed for 8 months while I taught there. Is in LaGrange.
They had done already evaluated me in the Four Rivers Behavior Center and gave me an A+. They had done already taken me, the federal government through Paducah, Kentucky, had done already taken me to MCC in downtown Chicago towards me going through a 6-month evaluation, and I got an A+. They wasn't going to be satisfied until they proven that I was incompetent, that I was a whack job. And that's whenever they wound up putting a bogus warrant for my arrest all the way up whenever I was living out in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and drug me back to Christian County, because Trigg County don't have a facility to hold people in. It's just a small little courthouse right there in Trigg County.
So what's your objective with all of this movement?
You are a smart one, aren't you? Well, first of all, I caught wind that they was going to open the property back up worth billions. Not millions, but
Do you need
billions.
a signature? Thank you.
But billions pertaining to the Land Between the Lakes area. So I made it a point towards targeting that area. Not because I was trying to be a homesteader, because there are old homesteading laws on the state of Kentucky to where if you can prove that you have stayed on a piece of property for 39 plus days, you can actually go to the courthouse and fill out homesteading rights. Yeah, they've never taken it off the books. That's the reason why they're so sensitive in that area towards not allowing for you to stay no more than 21 days at a campsite. And then whenever you stay there, you have to leave the campsite, move at least a mile off, stay gone for 7 days before you can come back to the original campsite. And they monitor that very, very carefully, because if you're out there in that area, they're going to know that you're in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they got satellite, maybe they got satellite and they can see the activity going on with all the other animals, you know.
What about like campsites that are, I mean,
designated for people that want to go in there and stay a whole
like
season? That's different. Kind of like Hillman's Ferry and Wrangler's Campground.
Yeah.
That's different.
Okay.
That's different. You can go in there, but you got to go under a different policy to the point that, hey, once your contract's over with, you're out of here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that you're signing their agreement when
yes. That way it eliminates any possibility towards you coming in there and trying to be a homesteader. But my point is this: I had already beat them to the draw, because in 1989 I went up there and actually stayed on a particular site off of Legal Road 141 off of Sugar Bay Road for 40 days and 40 nights.
Phew, I can't tell you anything about where I was. You've got a good,
for 40 days and 40 nights. I stayed.
Got a good memory.
I stayed for 40 days and 40 nights on the same campsite without never leaving, because at that time, Land Between the Lakes was being controlled by TVA.
But if you're just doing it freelance, I mean, really, how can you substantiate that? I mean, wouldn't it have to be, in order for it to be something that...
I documented it.
Well, you personally, but I could sit here and document anything I want to. How can you substantiate or truly prove that you were there for 40 days?
Through pictures, data.
Oh, okay.
You know, we live in a society now.
Well, I'm talking about, this is in '89. You lived there. You were on site for 40 days and 40 nights. We didn't have the same technology then. So how are you going to prove enough to be able to claim homestead in this?
I'm not.
But what I'm saying is,
that's the point
and
that's the point that I'm trying to make. I'm not wanting to prove homesteading
no, but
right.
What I'm saying is like, in today's time, looking back, for someone to be able to do that, what would you have to do to be able to prove that?
You keep all your records.
Well,
when you ate, where you ate, you keep all your receipts, what you done, where you was at.
You're fishing in the lake. You done caught you got your bass out of the lake and built you a campfire. How are you documenting
You asked me a certain particular question, and I'm going to give you a certain particular answer. Okay? What was my objective? My objective was to plant a Native American site in the center of Land Between the Lakes that would or possibly could prevent them from opening that back up to the general public.
In the future.
In the future.
So, but you just told me.
And the site is still up there. You can go up there to this day and you can see where the rocks and all was planted up there and where I actually went up there and lived.
But you could say, too, that the federal government could come through and do whatever they wanted to with that land at any point, regardless of your accomplishments.
They could, but there would be an uprising. See, there's been many meetings up there pertaining to the people that got pushed out of their territory towards people being objectionable to what happened up there.
I don't know anything about the history of anything.
So to this day, you can Google.
Making my mind race.
You can Google anything pertaining to LBL, and you'll have a flood of people that has presented stuff about their homestead, their family background, what happened, when it happened, how that they felt like that they was beat out a certain amount of hundreds of acres or possible thousands of acres. Oh yeah, they have invalidated the data social network with all that up there, because it was a story that got suppressed because of the time period that it happened in. You know, the first buyout, whenever
I'm thinking it's because of the value.
Well, that too. But it got suppressed, and now their stories are merging. They're starting to come out towards what exactly happened. Has it costed me? Oh yeah, it costed me dearly. As a matter of fact, whenever they shut down the dam for about 3 hours, I was held there in Paducah, Kentucky for about 3.5, 4 hours after they interrogated me, wanting to know what my intent was. And I said, look, all I'm doing is trying to be led of God. God told me that there was going to be electrical disturbances in this area. I go, somebody has taken out of context of thinking that I was going to create an electrical disturbance, obviously, by blowing up the Kentucky Dam. That's the reason why they went out there. I mean, it sounds funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time. That's the reason why they shut the dam down and went out there with diver dogs and FBI agents and searched and looked from head to toe, making sure that there wasn't no devices out there that was going to possibly do damage to the dam, till they finally opened it up. Like I said, it was on WPSD News pertaining to the incident. So I didn't know if you remembered that incident, going back into that era or not.
No, I'm going to look it up, though, later. I got to get this work done. I'm over my head today. I've been behind, so I'm short-staffed yesterday and just some different things, and so I've got to get caught up.
But if you get time,
look it up.
If you get time, go ahead and look me up right here, Dennis James Jubby, Jubby, Jackson, okay? The CIA, Jubby, the CIA is actually Christ Incorporated Associates, but somehow or another I got tied in with the actual CIA out of Langley, Virginia, because I was part of the nuclear arms agreement pertaining to the superpowers in 1980 and 8 with Ronald Reagan, of the opening of the seals pertaining to biblical Bible prophecy. Today I spell my name differently. I spell my name Jew, J-E-W-B, Jew-B, B-E-E, Jew-B. But you will, if you'll look my name up right there under that heading, you will see where I basically